Biology, Part 227. For extreme instances of isolation like the Galapagos Islands or the drifting apart of the continents, it is easy to see how these mechanisms could lead to development of new species. However, not all of the millions of different species of organisms which inhabit the earth can have been isolated to this extent. Does allopatric speciation explain the origin of most species, or that of only a few? Part of an answer is this question that lies in more detailed consideration of the natural features which act as barriers to reproduce. Mountain ranges and deserts are obvious examples, but it is not clear at first that many populations are isolated by their adaptations to particular habitat. Plant species adapted for life at high altitudes, effectively isolated from similar species elsewhere. Equally, organisms inhabiting different rivers, valleys, forests, marshes, grassland regions may be unable to interbreed because intervening habitat is unsuitable. In fact, this kind of geographical isolation is extremely common. Sometimes isolated populations are only a few meters apart. Parapatric speciation. Parapatric speciation, that means para means next to and patric means place, occurs between the populations in directly adjacent areas. It differs from allopatric speciation because the population exchange genes freely. Some indications of how parapatric speciation might occur come from the studies of the wind, pollinated grass, Agrostis tenuis, growing on the waste material from the copper mines. Copper-tolerant individuals of this species are among the very few plants able to grow on mine soil, but they are less successful than normal Agnostis tenuis on the pasture soil. Normal pasture individuals are killed by the exposures to the levels of copper in mine soil. Crosses between the tolerant and the pasture individuals produce offsprings which are less successful in both habitats. In these circumstances, any tendency which leads to more frequent crosses with the same type of the plant will be favored by natural selection. This is precisely what has happened at a Droswai Coat copper mine in Wales. Agrostis tenuis growing on the mine soil floor earlier in the season than pasture plants. Thus, reproductive isolation has developed without any actual barrier to interbreeding at the border between the populations. In time, the two populations would be expected to evolve into new species. Sympatric speciation. Well, the sympatric speciations, as syms means the same and patric means the place, is said to occur when organisms inhabiting at the same area become separated into two or more reproductively isolated areas, isolated groups, without the need for geographical separation. There are two ways in which this might happen. Polyploidy. Number one, polyploidy. And number two, ecological isolation. I'll discuss both of them in detail. First, I consider the polyploidy. This is the condition in which the cells of an organism contain additional sets of chromosomes, giving triploid and tetraploid individuals with even higher multiples of the haploid chromosomes number refer to our previous tutorial as we move along.